frigid 16-degree night in Boston. Snow in the forecast for tomorrow night. So nice to be indoors. And it is a sellout. Better than 19,000 making their way into TD Garden. It will not be a friendly crowd for the Knicks as the follow-up to the Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Garnett near post-game confrontation. The NBA on TNT is being presented by State Farm, and it's back to an intensive rivalry between these two teams. The New York Knicks facing the Boston Celtics. So look at the top 8 in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks 25-14 in the number 2 slot behind Miami. Celtics in the midst of a slide, 20-21. They dropped 4 in a row after winning 6 in a row, and they are 8th in the East. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert along with Steve Kerr. We'll be joined in a moment by Tracy Wolfson working the sideline. Let's check out the starting lineups for the Knicks. Carmelo Anthony is up front. One major change, James White, who has not been playing much as of late. 3-year man out of Cincinnati, making only his 5th start of the season. Did play well about 4 games back against the Bulls. And Iman Shumpert back from knee surgery, playing his 3rd game back. Celtics with that front line of Pierce, Bass, 15-time All-Star Kevin Garnett. At the guards, Avery Bradley playing through sore ribs, and 4-time All-Star Rajon Rondo. As we await the meeting of Kevin Garnett and Carmelo Anthony, will there be any acknowledgement at all? Keep in mind they will be starters for the East squad in the All-Star game in Houston on February 17th. Do we get a fist bump?
A little fist bump. That's about it.
Yep.
I didn't expect much more.
And Steve, just for logistical purposes, where is the Knicks team bus located here?
Yeah, exactly.
But the key for the Knicks tonight, Carmelo cannot have another 6 for 26 shooting performance as he did back on January the 7th at the Garden.
And I think it's important to point out that it's a big reason for the frustration that Carmelo showed that night was the physical nature of the Boston defense. And right away you see Rajon Rondo get into his body and force that jump shot.
Boston Celtics struggling after the 6 straight wins. Their last game this past Tuesday night, Cleveland Celtics lost to the Cavs 95-90, shot only 38%. And Paul Pierce, who has not been shooting well, able to knock down his first attempt.
Yeah, that's a great sign for Boston. He has really struggled, Marv, in the last 5 games, shooting 32%. His 3-point stroke has been way off, 4 for his last 23.
You see Pierce right up on the body of Carmelo Anthony. Doc Rivers says that is always the game plan against Anthony. Try to annoy him as much, get into his space. That's last touch by the Knicks.
Well, the Celtics are always at their best defensively when they're in the passing lanes and pressuring up the court, but that's especially true against the Knicks. New York is a rhythm team. They're a club that likes to get into an offensive flow, so if you can take time off the clock by pressuring them up the floor, you take them out of that groove.
Pass played by Anthony with help as Shumpert comes over and rebounded by Carmelo Anthony. The Knicks started the season 18-5. They've gone 7-9 since then, and have dropped 4 of the last 6 as Garnett switches off on Anthony, who takes the jumper. Rebounded by Garnett. Pierce met by Shumpert. Beautiful spin to the rim. And the foul.
Paul Pierce looking spry here early tonight, Marvin. We talked about it, you know, the shooting has been off. He's looked tired, he's looked fatigued. But the jumper early, now the beautiful spin move around Shumpert. So quick start for Paul Pierce.
What was Doc Rivers telling us yesterday? He thinks that Paul may be putting too much time in on the life cycle.
Well, it was interesting because remember the other day we had the Lakers and Mike D'Antoni told us that Kobe Bryant felt like he had tired legs, so his response was to go in and get extra shooting. And Paul Pierce is the same way. These guys are so committed to their conditioning, you know, that even when they have tired legs, they think, you know, the answer is more conditioning. And sometimes there's a balance you have to strike as a player, but you know, everybody knows their body, you know, better than anybody else can. So it's worked for Pierce and Kobe for a long time.
Foul on Rondo. White gets it out to Kidd, who shoots for 3. Mike Woodson telling us Jason Kidd will not play as many minutes tonight. He's been up in the 40s. The injury to Raymond Felton has been a major factor. Then Pablo Prigioni has a block by Chandler. Prigioni, the 35-year-old rookie out of Argentina, has been getting time. Kidd follows it up and able to flip it out to Anthony. Here's Carmelo on the drive, twisting his way for his first field goal.
Beautiful move by Carmelo, and we've gotten an early look at how the Knicks play, Marv. They shoot a ton of three-point shots, 29 a game, #1 in the league, and they're dead last in points in the paint. When they do get points by the hoop, it's usually Chandler on a lob or a putback, or Carmelo putting the ball on the floor.
You know, not that a foul is called on Anthony, not that I'm looking for additional testiness. I thought there would be more booing during the introduction of Carmelo. I mean, he certainly heard it from the crowd, but there are a lot of Knicks fans in the crowd here in Boston.
I get the sense you were hoping for more. It wasn't just that
it's good television. Nothing personal. A shot by Bradley for three. The officiating crew, Joe Crawford, Dick Pavetta, and Marat Kogut.
By the way, that's no accident, Marv. The fact
you want
that
Joey on this game, right? There's a steal by Rondo. Has a 2-on-1. Try to get it to Bradley, who stumbled, and it allows the Knicks to get back. Pierce spinning his way, and he lost it. Now they say last touch by the Knicks. The Knicks' last game this past Monday night at the Garden lost to the Nets 88-85. Joe Johnson hitting that pull-up jumper with about 22 seconds left for the game winner. And then J.R. Smith not able to hit a three at the buzzer.
The Knicks are in a dry spell right now. They've lost 6 of their last 10 as Bass lines up the jumper, can't get it to go. But they're at that stage mid-season where they've lost their groove a little bit, but the Felton absence is huge, and it's felt in so many ways. As Shumpert gets to the rim and scores, Felton is really the initiator to the offense. His penetration leads to the defensive rotations, and then the ball moving, and then the three-point looks opening up. And you think about how much more Kidd has to handle the ball and how much more Carmelo is in the open floor with the ball. It's a big difference without Felton.
What a shot by Rondo. A beautiful reverse. Rajon the other day had a difficult time, not able to contain Kyrie Irving, who was just sensational with that 40-point game. Here's Kidd on a fadeaway. And getting back to Felton, Mike Woodson saying they hope he'll return on Saturday against Philadelphia. He's missed the last 12 games with that fractured right pinky. He was relieved that he did not need surgery. Pinky was broken in 3 different places. Foul was called on Rondo. And Felton has been missed. Now the Knicks have gone 5-6 without Felton, although he had not been playing particularly well just before the injury.
No, but he was, still a factor even without the shooting numbers. Even when his shooting numbers go down, the team shoots better when he's out there because of the style of play. Rondo gets fouled going to the hoop. But when Felton penetrates on that high pick and roll, which is really the way they like to play, New York, that's when the three-point looks are open. And what's happened now is the three-point shots are contested.
Second on Shumpert. So Rondo to the line. You can play NBA Challenge presented by State Farm during tonight's game. Predict the action before it happens at NBA.com/NBA Challenge. As you look at the questions, for more information, go to NBA.com. J.R. Smith coming on now for Iman Shumpert, who's made it back from ACL surgery in his left knee, but he picks up the 2 early fouls and takes a seat.
And he's also on a minutes restriction, Marvin. I think Mike Woodson said they've moved it up a little bit each game, but they don't want him to play more than 20 minutes. So the 2 fouls I don't think is a big factor as White drains the jumper.
James White, 30 years old, out of University of Cincinnati, originally drafted by Portland in the 2nd round, spent time with the Spurs and the Rockets. He was on that 07 San Antonio championship team, also played overseas. Here's Garnett over Kidd. Got the spin.
A lot of switching defensively in this game. Both teams very versatile on the wings. Neither team really has a dominant low post threat, so you'll see Chandler and Garnett switching out onto players. It'll create some interesting mismatches.
How about that? Kidd hesitated. Celtics drifted away, and he had the clear pass.
And this is where the Celtics are really different, or from the last 5-6 years. Defensively, they're nowhere near the club that they were. Garnett and Chandler get tangled up there. Chandler will get called for the foul. But you know, during this Garnett era, since he's been in Boston, they have been overall the best defensive team in the league. But now you look at them, they're so different. 9 new players this year. Garnett scores on the beautiful out-of-bounds play. But with all the new players, they've lost their edge defensively, and they don't have the size that they once had on the front line.
Chandler, not expecting that pass, leads to this. Rajon Rondo with the finish. Boston up by 3. Talk about the Boston defense. They allow 96 points a game, which is 8th in the league. Last season, they allowed only 89 a game. 2nd in the NBA. Bulls were the best, and they have been first defensively overall almost every season since Garnett joined the team in 2007.
And when you go deeper into the numbers, the field goal percentage went from 42% last year to 45% this year. They were #1 in three-point defense, 31% last season, and now that's up to 36%.
It's Chandler losing it at center court, looking to put it on the floor. Pierce over Anthony. Garnett keeps it alive. They can reset. 18 on the clock. Garnett gets inside. Bradley with the air ball. And Carmelo moves it up. Puts a nice move on Pierce. Smith.
Great move by Carmelo, though. Penetrate and kick, and that's their game. And when they're on, you know, that's what they look like. Penetrate, kick, move the ball. And meanwhile, Boston, they're up for this game. You know, they've been in a funk 4 in a row. They need this game. They're showing a lot of energy, both defensively. Even the guys on the bench have been standing this entire game. And this was that out-of-bounds play. Beautifully done. Rondo to KG. Celtics with the early lead.
Welcome back to Boston. It's been about 2 weeks since the Melo KG incident, but both players have said all the right things so far this week. And we saw earlier the fist pump, and it looked to be all right. Carmelo Anthony saying there is no bad blood, no grudges. He said the focus on beating the Celtics, not evening the score. Still, he is expecting a hostile environment, even brought along his personal bodyguard, and the NBA took precautions. They sent referee Joey Crawford, who always calls a tough game, guys.
All right, Tracy, actually looking at that superficial fist bump, little touch there by Garnett, it reminds me as Pierce rims out, and it's kept alive, of the fist bump that we exchange at production meetings, which is also superficial. Here's Pierce for 3.
I mean it when I fist pump you. I had no idea you were faking it all these years.
You know, I noticed you were kind of emotional each time. Amar'e Stoudemire has come on for the first time. And the call is away from the ball as Joey Crawford takes a look down low. It is on Avery Bradley.
Bradley, an excellent defender, but Carmelo Anthony, much bigger and stronger. And Bradley trying to front him on that block gets a little too much.
Jeff Green has come on for the Celtics along with Jason Collins. And Pierce will depart. Just 2 of 7, 4 points. You know, for Carmelo, it's the first time since the suspension off that trash-talking incident with Kevin Garnett. And Stoudemire will head to the line. It's the first time that Carmelo has played in a visiting NBA city. Missed the Knicks game in Indiana because of the suspension. And then the Knicks had 3 home games and the game against Detroit in London. And frankly, I thought, and I'm not that I'm rooting for it, but I thought he would be hearing it more from the crowd. I think if it was reversed, if this game was at the Garden, and if Garnett would be considered as the villain, I think it would be more hustling.
Well, remember, according to the reports anyway, KG was the instigator. Now, that may or may not be true, but when you watch the tape of the game, both players were really jawing at each other.
But here in Boston, they're not going to look at it like that.
Yeah. Maybe the fans here in Boston have mellowed over the years, Mark.
Green for 3. Rebounded by Smith. Boston has missed its last 6 shots. Smith.
Not much of a shot there. Mike Woodson sort of shakes his head as the Celtics go back down offensively.
Rondo not able to hit. Rebounded by Stoudemire. Here comes Kidd. Green is back. Jared Sullinger has also come on for the Celtics. Rookie out of Ohio State has been playing very well as of late. Anthony, yes, hits the jumper over Green.
That's why he is, as Doc Rivers said, the second best scorer in the NBA. I said, who's first, Durant? He said, yeah, that guy should have his own condo, I think he said. But
Carmelo does.
Yeah, I'm sure he does, in fact. But Carmelo, so good. We're going to see a foul there on Chandler. But he's so good facing up, because you have to respect his ability to put the ball on the floor, and as soon as you back up one step, he can knock down that jumper.
I got to either find the right combination, the right guys, or we're going to get some guys out of here. It's the bottom line, because this group right now, they're not playing right. And it's in them to play right. But right now, they haven't been, either because I'm not getting to them or they're not getting to each other. But at the end of the day, either we got to do that or we got to make changes.
This is after the loss to Detroit, a 3rd straight loss after they had won 6 in a row. Then they lost to Cleveland on Tuesday night to make it 4 straight. Said we may have to get some guys out of here. And as he was telling us earlier, it might have been in the moment. And then Danny Ainge, the Celtics president, basketball operations, said he doesn't see major changes on the horizon. It's so difficult in the NBA to just make a sweeping move. Of course, he said we're trying to get better. Any deal that was available that could help us, you obviously do that, but we're not just trying to make any deal. We're not selling this team off. And if we watch as we watch the free throws by Collins, who hits both, because Boston was the Knicks were over the limit on that Chandler foul. You see Danny Ainge now foul. A reach-in is called on Courtney Lee. As I started to say, the Celtics last season at the All-Star break were just 2 under 500. The lockout and that condensed schedule may have been a big factor in their dealing with the grind, but they turned it, finished with the 3rd best record after the break, and then came within a game of reaching the finals. But Doc was saying it's not the same mentality with this group. 9 new players are on the roster.
Remember in 2010, Marv, the Celtics in their last 54 games went 27-27, and everybody wrote them off, and they came within 1 game of winning the NBA championship. They lost Game 7 in LA. But Doc said there's a big difference between pacing yourself and just being inconsistent. And he said, I know the difference, and we're just inconsistent. We're not pacing ourselves right now, and that's why the concern.
And as a result, they are 20-21 in the number 8 spot in the East.
Knicks have zoned up their defense ever since Stoudemire entered the game, and it's kind of a switching man, but it leaves Sullinger open. But nice block there from Stoudemire.
Good setup from Jason Terry, who had just checked in. Novak for Stoudemire, spinning his way and working his way into a travel.
Stoudemire has never been a post-up player, kind of a traditional post-up guy. He's most comfortable catching down there, turning and facing, and using his speed to go around a guy like Sullinger.
Leandro Barbosa has also come on for the first time for the Celtics. Gets it out to Terry. Good ball movement. Shot clock to 5. Barbosa rebounded by Novak. Prigioni, who just checked in. For Novak for 3. Also down by Green, tapping it to Terry. Knicks get back. Here's Terry. He has not shot the ball well as of late. Terry again.
Just trying to find his range. First one long, second one short. Both dead on. I mean, they look like they're going in, but He just hasn't been able to find the groove so far this year, which happens sometimes, Marv, when you're in a new team, in a new environment with a different system.
Oh, nice move along the baseline. Carmelo Anthony with his third field goal, so a good start, 3 of 5, 6 points. Meanwhile, Steve, the Celtics have missed their last 11 shots. Knicks lead by 2.
This zone has really had an impact in this game. Sullinger somehow gets that one to go, just throwing his body into the defense.
A line drive hook shot by the rookie. Game tied at 20, coming up on a minute left in the first. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Tracy Wolfson were at the TD Garden. 279th consecutive sellout. That dates back to 2007, coincidentally with the addition of Kevin Garnett in 07. It's Kevin sitting it out.
20 seconds.
And a 20 is taken by Knicks coach Mike Woodson. Will step away. 50 seconds to play here in the first.
Celtics would like to welcome tonight's group from Upward Bound. They're sitting in section 16 as the TD Bank Community Clubhouse guest.
Back in Boston, the Celtics had missed 11 consecutive field goal attempts before Jared Sullinger got this one to go. You wonder how he does it sometimes. He really has no lift at all, but he's got great touch around the basket and a wonderful feel for the game. Doc Rivers loves this young guy, and what he's really added to this club, Marv, is his offensive rebounding ability. Celtics have traditionally been one of the worst in the league on the offensive glass, but Sullinger has given them a threat in that area.
Here's Green over Prigioni. Prigioni was the only man back, and Green, using his length, has given Boston a 2-point lead. Smith out the hesitation, blocked from behind by Sullinger. Courtney Lee moves it across against J.R. Smith. Splits his way, had it knocked away. Sullinger rejected. That counts a goaltend on Stoudemire.
Well, we talked about all the changes for Boston, 9 new players. Look at this group out here between Lee, Green, Barbosa, Terry. This group can really run. Celtics have not been a good transition team, so if they can play better defense as the season goes on, and that should translate into fast break and open court opportunities.
Green trying to bother Anthony with the time running out. Anthony off the step, and then it's tied up, caught it up, and he's frustrated. Good job by Jeff Green. Celtics end the quarter on a 6-0 run, and after one here in Boston. It's the Celtics 24 and the Knicks 20. Celtics have won the last 13 here in Boston, including the postseason. Knicks trying to put an end to that streak. Back in Boston on a bitter cold evening. Time for the Ford Coach's Corner. Moments ago, Tracy Wolfson with Mike Woodson.
Coach, after some good defense early on there, the Celtics were able to go on a 6-0 run. What changed down the stretch there?
Well, we had a couple of rush shots, a turnover. We got caught with the clock against us there where Melo had to take the shot. But we just got to be patient with our offense. We're playing like we're behind 20 points, and just got to get better shots.
One of the biggest differences between last game and this game is the presence of Rajon Rondo. How do you like how you've handled his speed so far?
Well, again, with Rondo, you got to build a wall. When he's pushing the ball, he's got to see bodies. And I thought we did a pretty good job of that early on. We just got to maintain that throughout the rest of the game.
Thanks a lot. Mark?
All right, Tracy, Rajon Rondo was sitting out a 1-game suspension, so missed that earlier meeting at the Garden, which featured the Carmelo KG back page and front page incident. Both are sitting down at the moment. J.R. Smith not able to find the range. Stoudemire kept it alive. Shumpert is back. Here's Stoudemire swinging in. Nice play. Makes his move on Sullinger.
Yeah, beautifully done. He's got the athletic edge over Sullinger, so if he can just free up enough space for himself near the hoop, Stoudemire can score down there.
Barbosa played by Novak. Barbosa. Sullinger blocked by Amar'e. Stoudemire on a door, and Stoudemire puts it down with the reverse.
Very poor transition defense from Boston. Sullinger was caught behind the play, and he had no help from his teammates around the basket.
Game is tied at 24. Foul is called. Blocking foul on Stoudemire.
Well, this zone has really caused a lot of problems for Boston. That time Sullinger gets free, but Stoudemire with a great block, and then in transition, he gets out and runs. He's looking good out here, Marvin. He's on a minutes restriction as well.
They've lifted it, though, to about 30.
Yeah. But the trick for New York is figuring out how it's all going to work, because the numbers the last year and a half have not looked good when Chandler, Amar'e, and Melo have been on the floor at the same time.
Jason Terry is 0 for 4 from the field, shooting just 43% for the season. Kevin Garnett is back, coming on for Sullinger. Here is Stoudemire. Rebounded by Garnett.
Prigioni really looks good out here, Marv. He's getting his teammates a lot of good looks.
And he was a question mark for today. Prigioni playing with a jammed toe. Shot clock down to 7. They double up on Garnett. And Smith getting into the passing lane to break it up. Here's Smith. Nice move. Smith to the rim. It counts on the foul. J.R. Smith will head to the line.
This guy's electrifying in the open floor, Marvin. He's got that crossover dribble that you just saw there, the ability to get by people and then explode to the rim. Barbosa gets a piece of him, but Smith still able to finish. And this bench group is really giving giving the Knicks a lift here. Prigioni, Stoudemire, and Smith in particular.
Unable to complete the three-point play, but Stoudemire keeps it alive. Prigioni invited to shoot. Able to take advantage by hitting a 3.
Reluctant to do so, but he finally realized, I'm so open, I have to shoot.
9-0 run by the Knicks. Garnett putting moves on Stoudemire, got bottled up and fouled. Stoudemire commits his second.
That's his second personal.
Let's take a look at the NBA National Television Big Board, a full slate of games across the NBA networks. Friday, the Spurs and Mavericks on ESPN starting 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Saturday, NBA TV will have a doubleheader. Bulls at Wizards, Pacers at the Jazz, and then Sunday on ABC, Heats, Celtics, and Thunder, Lakers.
Well, this is the longest stretch of zone that I've seen in the NBA this year. I mean, it's been probably 15, 17 possessions in a row of zone defense from New York. One of the problems when you play zone, you can get a little lazy. You're just guarding an area and you lose your activity. That has not been the case here tonight. The Knicks are flying all over the place. They're passing one man on to the next. They're communicating, they're active, and that's why Mike Woodson has been able to stay with it.
And at one stretch in the first quarter, the Celtics missed 11 consecutive shots. Here's Smith. Going right at Pierce, who just checked in with Rondo. 3-on-2 for the Celtics. Barbosa wide open. Rebounded by Shumpert. Boston just 10 for 30. 32%, 30% from the field. Shumpert, yes, Iman Shumpert, second-year player out of Georgia Tech, made all-rookie last year, was outstanding in his first season. Averaged 9 points, played well defensively. So Shumpert on the pull-up extends to a 31-25 Knick lead. We're early second. You're watching the NBA on TNT. You can play NBA Challenge presented by State Farm during tonight's game. Predict the action before it happens. And NBA.com/NBA Challenge as you look at the questions. First one involving Rajon Rondo, who does lead the NBA with 11 assists a game. And Carmelo to this point with 6 rebounds. For more information, go to NBA.com. Rondo from straight away. Boston started out by hitting 7 of their first 12. They're 3 for 20 since then, and they're down by 6.
They've had some good looks, too. Jason Terry, in particular, had about 3 wide-open shots. They just have not been able to get anything to go, and it's the other reason New York continues to stay with this zone.
Prigioni with the cross-court pass ends up in the hands of Thomas, who just came on, rebounded by Rondo. Pierce got off to the good start. Paul Pierce, he has 6 points. The Celtics at 20-21. They've dropped 4 in a row after winning 6 straight. Knicks have had their ups and downs as of late after getting off to that 18-5 start. And they've lost 4 of the last 6 games. Boston trying to turn it right here. Rondo met by Prigioni. Gets it down low. Green between Thomas and Novak.
Yeah, there's the opening in the zone, finally getting behind the big underneath. It's Kurt Thomas, and that's why Mike Woodson is going to get a timeout here. He wants to get Tyson Chandler back in the ball game to anchor that zone.
So the Celtics move within 2.
Yeah, right over the top. Kurt Thomas never has been a leaper, and the Celtics take advantage.
It makes things easy for all of us. You know, him attacking the rim, you know, gives us opportunity to get putbacks, dump-offs, you know, makes our shooters space out and knock down open shots. He creates a lot of things out there, and, you know, he's able to pick up full court, and you have a nice 1-2 punch with himself, Chasing, Pablo. But, you know, without him, it puts a lot of stress on the other 2 guards.
And it's expected that Raymond Felton will make his return against Philadelphia in Philly on Saturday. Tyson Chandler just checked back in. Bradley slipped, lost his balance. The officials checked with each other. Last touched by the Knicks. So the Celtics maintain possession. And on the subject of Raymond Felton, you can see the difference that he has made at the point.
It's all about offensive flow and rhythm. I mean, this is a team that camps around the 3-point line, and then they rely on Chandler and Felton to run that pick and roll in the middle. It makes them very difficult to cover. But the 3-point looks that they're getting now are nowhere near as open because of that lack of court spacing and rhythm to the offense.
Well, to this point, only 6 3-pointers attempted by the Knicks, while Boston has thrown up 8, which is well above their game average. Here's Anthony splitting through and comes up short, rebounded by Green. Boston down by 2 as Rondo goes all the way and ties the game.
He's a one-man fast break, Marv. I mean, he's one of the only guys in the league who doesn't need teammates to run a fast break opportunity. It's amazing just his ability to kind of slither to the rim.
7 points, 6 assists for Rondo. Smith with a wild, chancy pass.
Wild and chancy is one way of putting it. Yeah.
And the Celtics continue the onslaught. 8 straight points. They lead at 33-31. Jeff Green has played well.
He has played well. And that's the result of a bad decision offensively, as in Smith's case there, is usually defensive transition. And that's exactly what happened there. Bad pass leads to a layup.
And it looked like Carmelo inadvertently took a shot from Green. Let me ask you this, Steve. After this replay, I have a question for you.
This is how the Celtics have been playing Carmelo, trying to get up in him, bother him, annoy him as much as possible.
I know they do it in some arenas, but it's pretty blatant here. Do you feel they are piping in sound noise here, like cheers and boos?
I know they do it in a lot of arenas in the NBA.
But they do it here all the time, and it's just ridiculous. It really is.
Some places you need it. I don't think you need it here, do you?
Well, you know, the crowd has been kind of quiet, even with the Anthony Garnett situation back in the game on January 7th. Shumpert, too late, don't count, 24-second violation. So as a marketing guy, you would pipe in crowd noise.
I never said that.
Well, you said that in some places it's good. That was you.
Was that me? Are you sure it wasn't you?
Let me think about that a second. Foul is called on.
I'm not a fan of it at all.
It's artificial. It's absurd, and they do it here all the time. And I want you to stop it.
I will look into it, Mark. No, I remember playing in Seattle in the finals when I was with Chicago in '96. They pumped in crowd noise during the finals. It was like over the top. They didn't need crowd noise in the finals.
That's amazing.
Couldn't hear anything.
Here's Anthony from way downtown. So Carmelo is 3 of 10 from the field.
And they may not need to pump crowd noise in Seattle anymore now, right? They might be playing there next year.
That won't count. Foul before the shot attempt by Green. That's 2 on
Carmelo Anthony.
Anthony. But it was bad enough that first it was cheers, and then when Carmelo got the ball, there's no question someone touched the button.
You think they have a boo button?
They do. They have a laughter one, too.
Canned laughter?
And here's Pierce from straight away for 3.
Well, finally, the Celtics get a jump shot to go. It's been
Hear it? You hear it?
Yeah, there it is.
No, that's not the real crowd. It's part of the crowd.
I agree with you.
That is awesome.
It's like a sitcom.
Right. And they've even cut it out in most sitcoms. 11 unanswered by the Celtics. Shumpert for 3 comes right back. And they made a mistake. They just hit the wrong button that was cheered. Enough of this. All right. 4:25 remaining in the first half. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Tracy Wolfson from Boston. Garnett with a nice pass. Beautiful setup to Pierce. And the Celtics are all pumped up.
Well, Boston's execution has been really good. 11 assists and just 1 turnover to this point in the game. They're only shooting 40%, but they've had good looks all night.
Shumpert. Here's Pierce getting it down. Pierce passed on a 3. Finds Rondo. 40-34 Boston. Biggest lead of the game. Shumpert for 3. Iman Shumpert with 10 points. That's his second from downtown.
Gaining confidence by the game as Pierce misses badly on that 3, but what a welcome sign for Knicks fans because Shumpert is really known for his defense.
Anthony with a catch and shoot. Anthony makes the catch. Blocked from behind by Garnett. Now that is genuine crowd reaction. Bradley, his shot has been off. Traveling violation is called.
It's like you have a meter in front of you, like you know what's fake and what's real with the crowd noise. How do you know?
I feel it.
It's just instinct, though. You can't teach that.
Fouled in the act.
Celtic foul is on number 30, Brandon Bass. That's his first
Brandon Bass
foul.
picks up his first.
Anthony at the line.
Carmelo Anthony started out 3 of 5, 0 for 7 since, and not the best shot selection by Carmelo. 2 shots for Anthony, 82% free throw shooter, as we check in with Ernie Johnson in our Atlanta studios. Ernie.
For the Celtics, number 7, Jared Sullinger replaces number 5, Kevin Garnett.
You know, we can arrange to have that crowd noise in the Atlanta studios if you'd like. Very dangerous if Ernie is the man controlling it. Yeah. 1-point lead for the Celtics. Just under 3 to go. First half. Pierce fouled by Shumpert. And that will lead to a timeout as Shumpert picks up his 3rd.
Tough night so far for Carmelo. Just 3 of 12. And KG coming over for the nice block there.
Back at the TD Garden in Boston. The NBA on TNT, presented by State Farm. A lot of bangers. Batters, I should say, up above the TD Garden. You look at the Knicks head coach, Mike Woodson, first full season as the head coach of the Knicks, taking over from Mike D'Antoni last March the 14th. 24 games left, and the Knicks went 18-6, and then were knocked off in 5 by Miami in the first round of the playoffs. Mike not having a particularly enjoyable time out in LA.
No, it's been a struggle, and Marv, I got to tell you, with all of the Lakers' struggles, maybe the most disappointing thing as an observer was the fact that they held a team meeting yesterday for an hour, and within 2 hours it was all over the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know how that stuff gets out, but anytime there's any kind of meeting like that that just involves players and coaches, that has to stay in-house. And I hate the fact that everybody's reading their dirty laundry and like almost immediately.
A lot of unhappy players, obviously. Lost their 7th straight road game last night. Anthony getting to that rebound, battling for it, and a foul is called. It is on Pierce, his second. Boston is over the foul limit. Well, Knicks and Celtic fans, get all your team's news in one place where you want it first. Bleacher Report's Team Stream app. Stay in the know. Download Team Stream from your app store today. Carmelo incidentally saying yesterday that it's possible that his recent 15-day fast contributed, it's an annual fast, contributed to his demeanor, which led him to overreact to Kevin Garnett's trash talking. That's what he said. Eats no carbs, meats, or soda. Said it may have been a fact. He said it's not an excuse. And I know, Steve, you're on that chocolate milkshake fast that only chocolate milkshakes, which is, I know, scientifically.
Is that good for you?
Yeah, it has been approved by the Board of Health.
I would guess if the fast affected anything, maybe it's the shooting. I mean, if you don't eat as an NBA player, I mean, how do you expect to get through the rigors of travel? The only guy that we could think of that we ever heard of fasting in season was Hakeem Olajuwon, who used to do so during Ramadan.
Right.
So that was really strange to read that story about Carmelo. I can't imagine, with everything you go through physically and mentally, not to nourish yourself.
Well, it was back January 7th as Garnett and Anthony were going at each other right through the game, and you mentioned the poor shooting. Carmelo just 6 for 26. Knicks losing to the Celtics. And then after Carmelo tried to get to Garnett near the dressing room and then walked out in the bus area. That's a no-no, obviously, because you don't know what it can escalate into, as Carmelo with a nice drive led to the 1-game suspension. And Doc Rivers insists, and of course he's going to protect his place, but he insists that Garnett did not utter the words dealt with a well-known cereal, and claims, although yes, Garnett is one of the more over-the-line trash talkers, would you say, in the NBA, he did not mention Carmelo's wife. Now that's from the Boston point of view, and then Doc saying, well, did Carmelo ever say that was the situation? And he hasn't. Either of other Knicks.
So where did it come from?
I don't know.
It's the problem these days as Bass gets to the rim. He traveled, but yeah, there is the call. Late call by Amar'e Stoudemire, but the right call. But I think that's one of the biggest issues in the NBA from a management and coaching standpoint these days. Just talked about the Laker meeting that gets out there. Sometimes there's information that doesn't even come from a source, but it's treated as such, as Stoudemire gets foul going to the hoop.
Well, he may have, everybody is not right on the scene, although players on both sides never said yes. These were things that were uttered. Now, the suspension was warranted. You cannot go after a player, be it on the court or off the court, near the dressing room, or at the team bus.
But where did the comment come from? Nobody has taken accountability for it. And
Doc said he thought it was a blogger.
Well,
but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, who knows is right. But it'd be nice if whoever made that comment came out and said, oh, yeah, it was me, and this is where I heard it. At least put some credibility behind it. It's unfair to everybody involved. if there's no accountability for the statement.
And the Celtics feeling that Carmelo, who also does his share of talking, although both guys appear to be very quiet here tonight, which you can understand. Kid on the steal.
Well, there's always talking in NBA games. I mean, that's part of it. You try to get under guys' skin, but usually there's a line that you don't cross. What you usually talk about is you can't guard me. You're too small.
Has it gotten more mean-spirited these days than it used to be?
Doc Rivers seems to think so. We asked him that before the game. He said he thought it was a little more mean-spirited now than it was when he played. I don't know. I mean, it's always been kind of vicious in a lot of ways in terms of sometimes profanity, but not, talking about somebody's wife or, sister or kid or anything like that.
Sometimes humorous also.
Very humorous.
What's the worst incident you were ever involved? I don't mean, I don't see you trash talking, but I
wasn't good enough to talk trash.
However, what's the worst that you ever faced?
Well, I mean, the worst is really the best, I think. I mean, in terms of, so it can get ugly with profanity, but the best, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, and it was all about, this is what I'm going to do next.
I will destroy you.
I will destroy you. I will. Larry Bird used to, you see his number hanging in the rafters. He used to tell guys before his move what was coming. He'd say, I'm going to go over my left shoulder and score over the top of you, and then do it. And you'd hear this stuff on the court. Pretty amazing.
Oh, that will count. That's a goal tag. Ends a 6-0 run for the Knicks.
Once again, New York in this kind of hybrid zone, switching man-to-man. You see Kurt Thomas ending up on Pierce, all kinds of crazy matchups for New York, but for the most part, it's been pretty effective. Boston shooting just 40%.
There's Smith on a fadeaway. J.R. Smith firing away 1 of 8 from the field. Paul Pierce getting credit for that goaltending bucket. Thomas on the foul. And Pierce with 13 of Boston's last 21 points. You put a top 5 of trash talkers together. You mentioned Jordan, Bird, our man Reggie right in there.
Yeah, no question.
Gary Payton, Charles Barkley.
And sometimes it's to get under a guy's skin. Other times it's to get yourself going. That was Reggie's motive.
Yeah, I believe it did work on several occasions.
It works very well.
With, John Starks in particular. Well, you can shop NBAstore.com now for the best selection of Knicks and Celtics gear. You can choose from jerseys, t-shirts, hats, and much more. NBAstore.com, one store, every team.
I think Pierce has a little motivation tonight after being passed over for the All-Star game this year for the first time in a long while. Got 19 points in the first half.
All a 10-time NBA All-Star. And it was 19-15 over the last 7.5 minutes. Boston by 1. About a second-and-a-half differential between the game clock and the shot clock. Anthony putting a move on Green, and he is fouled. Took the shoulder from Jeff Green.
Just so much more isolation of this Knicks offense without Felton. I know we've talked an awful lot about it, but the thing they've done well this year is they've balanced out the isolations for Carmelo with the flow and the rhythm that Felton is able to initiate with that high pick and roll. And without Felton, it's too much ISO and not enough ball movement.
Carmelo with 13 points. He's hit only 4 of 13 from the field, and with 9.2 left first half, a timeout call.
Look at Paul Pierce being passed over for the All-Star team. As you look at the East roster, Tyson Chandler there from the Knicks. Tough to argue with anybody. One of the problems for Pierce, I think, Marv, is that 2 of his teammates were voted in, Rondo and Garnett. Garnett is not having an all-star season, I don't think. But I think some of the coaches probably felt like you can't give the Celtics 3 players on the team when they're below 500.
Not a good foul. With 7 seconds remaining in the half, Barbosa trying to get the ball out of the hands of Stoudemire, and with Boston over the foul limit, so it puts Stoudemire at the line for 2. 76% free throw shooter. In the last Knicks game, Amar'e 26 minutes, 15 points. Had some problems defensively. Has not made a major impact since his return. It will take time making it back from knee surgery. And the question is still, can he and Carmelo play effectively over the long haul when they're on the court at the same time?
The biggest issue to me is at the defensive end. I mean, Amar'e's looked good here tonight, 10.7 rebounds, but the Knicks have gone zone almost the entire half, and a big reason is for Amar'e, just to try to hide him a little bit defensively.
Clock doesn't start until the ball is touched, so Rondo waited for the last instant and then nearly hit the reverse. There's J.R. Smith. 13 lead changes, 10 ties, and at the half, the Knicks have a 50-48 advantage here in Boston. The high point men, Carmelo has not shot well, 4 for 13 points, and Paul Pierce coming on in the second quarter, 6 of 12 for 19. We'll take a quick break, and then it's on to Atlanta for the Sprint halftime with Ernie, Kenny, Shaq, and Chris Webber. Back in Boston, the NBA on TNT is presented by State Farm. It's on to the second half. The Knicks with a 50-48 lead on the Celtics. Carmelo Anthony just 4 for 13 in the first half, 13 points. Iman Shumpert providing a lift, 4 of 5, 10 points. And for the Celtics, it was Paul Pierce, 15 of the Celtics, 23 points coming in the second quarter.
Yeah, it was a real struggle for Boston offensively. They shot just 39% on the half, dealing with that zone. But they finally broke through with Rondo and Pierce in particular. A couple of transition hoops, then the long jumper. Then all of a sudden Garnett feeds him up after an offensive rebound. And Pierce really got it rolling, 19 points. Celtics down 2, though, at the half. In a half when you mentioned Carmelo, 4 for 13. J.R. Smith, 1 for 9.
And for more on Paul Pierce, let's go to Tracy Wilson. Tracy.
Yeah, Marv, I had a chance to speak with Doc Rivers coming out of half. He said the biggest difference with Paul Pierce, who has struggled as of late, is that he's being more aggressive, he's getting inside, and he's making his shots. It's as simple as that. He is making his shots. He needs to continue to do that, he said, in the second half in order to come away with this win, guys.
All right, Tracy. Pierce just 3 of 15 Tuesday night in the loss to the Cavs in Cleveland, and has not shot well over the last 5 games. Celtic ball as this third quarter gets underway. Here's Bass challenging Chandler.
That's his game, Marv. His production has dropped off significantly this year. He was a 12-point-a-game scorer last season. This year about 8. But that's his game, that quick first step. And you have to honor the jump shot because he can make that 15, 17-footer.
Kidd shoots for 3. Just got netting, but Shumpert rescues. Time running down on the shot clock. Anthony has to fire one up. And the rebound handled by Bass. Boston at 20 and 21. They've dropped 4 in a row after winning 6 straight. Garnett. Good job by Green keeping it alive. The Knicks at 25 and 14. They're second in the East, just 2 games behind Miami. That's a traveling violation call.
That's turnover number 8 for the Knicks. Marvin, they're number 1 in the league in fewest turnovers, about 11 per game, which is just a shocking number. I mean, that's amazing, their ability to take care of the ball. But tonight, their efficiency, their production hasn't quite been there. The rhythm to their offense is just not there. And you got to give Boston some credit. They've put some pressure defensively on New York.
And then closing on 3-pointers, Knicks 4 of 12 from downtown. Nice move by Rondo.
The pose from Rondo.
The Knicks 3-point shooting has dropped off as of late. They're 38% for the season, which is 4th. And they lead the league in most 3-point makes and 3-point attempts.
People get caught up in their attempts, you know, that they say, well, they're shooting too many of them as Carmelo misses the long two. I don't think it's how many you take, it's how many open ones you get. Like that's a great shot right there for Shumpert. Wide open, just couldn't get it to go.
Fast, not able to handle that pass and then recovered. Early third quarter in Boston. Garnett.
Now there's just no low post threat in this game other than Carmelo if they ever got him the ball down on the block, which they really haven't done. White missing the three. But you watch Boston play, and there's like a hole in the middle of the offense. And they're not a great three-point shooting team either. So it's an interesting, they have to be very efficient with their screening and their cutting in order to score well.
Garnett on a good look, not able to hit. Missed his first 3 shots here in the third quarter. The Knicks have missed their last 8. That goes back to the second quarter.
And here we go again. A late start into their offense, unsure of what they're up to. Already down to 7 on the shot clock.
White on the drive. Garnett has it slapped away, and then Rondo comes up with it. Bullet pass off the mark. Shumpert with the steal. White putting the move on Garnett. And it's a strong drive by White. White making his 5th start of the season. 2 of 4 points. And the foul will send Garnett to the free throw line.
That was incredible. I didn't know if Garnett was going to be able to get this ball to the rim. He tries to just throw it in, and you see the foul there, the elbow from Chandler.
3 on Chandler. Garnett for 2 shots. You can play NBA Challenge presented by State Farm during tonight's game. Predict the action before it happens at nba.com/NBA Challenge as you look at the questions. For more information, go to nba.com. Kevin Garnett, 36 years old, 18th NBA season.
Been the heart and soul of this team since he arrived. It just what he does on the floor, the numbers don't really tell the story with Garnett. Probably the best defensive big in the league in terms of overall coverage. Pick and roll, switching on to guards, communicating, organizing the defense out in front of him. Just a remarkable player and totally changed the Celtic culture when he arrived. Remember, this was a really bad team for 3 or 4 years before he arrived.
And Garnett is back at the center with the departure of Kendrick Perkins to Oklahoma City.
And still a remarkable defender. Only plays about 29, a little less than 30 minutes a night. Doc Rivers trying to monitor his minutes, rest him as much as he can, and that's been the biggest problem for Boston. Those 18 minutes when he's on the bench, their defense goes down the tubes.
Carmelo continues to struggle. 4 of 16. Amar'e Stoudemire getting set. Check back in. Here's Rondo. Oh, what a move. Rajon Rondo beat 2 Knicks, taking it to the rim. 13 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. That's the stat line for Rondo. Kid left open for 3.
That was a strange defensive possession for Boston. Avery Bradley just chased the ball, and then it was like Boston just sort of tried to pick up from there, but as a result, nobody was matched up with New York, and Kidd ends up with a wide open 3.
Game is tied at 55. Rondo, rebounded by Chandler. Kidd able to sweep by Rondo. Shumpert. And a foul. Kidd was trying to tap it away.
Kind of an uneven quarter. His first 5 minutes here. Both teams kind of struggling offensively. We've seen some odd-looking shots. That was a weird little attempt from Shumpert, who had the advantage in transition. I thought he could have put the ball on the floor and gone to the rim. Chandler was there maybe for a lob. So New York still looking for some offensive rhythm, 34%. Boston, same thing, 39%.
Sullinger back. Garnett sits down. 6 points, 10 rebounds for Kevin Garnett. Here's Rondo with the runner. Chandler on the back tap, but this time handled by the opposition. Pierce for 3. Rebound! And now Chandler grabs the rebound. Shumpert. Big shooting has been way off since late second quarter. Sullinger is fouled.
Is that Carmelo or Chandler?
And Chandler has 3. Anthony has 2.
I think it was Carmelo.
New York foul.
And it is, yeah, that's his third.
Anthony. That's his third personal, third.
Sullinger
Jared Sullinger
at the line for the
shoot.
first time tonight, a 75% free throw shooter. Jared Sullinger, first round pick, 21st overall out of Ohio State. After his sophomore season, he averaged 17 and 9, made it to the Final Four, but there were questions about Sullinger, and the Celtics feel very fortunate. They think they have one of the sleeper choices in the first round.
He dropped all the way to the 21st pick, partly because people questioned his athleticism, but a lot of it was a red flag on his lower back. He had a herniated disc, but there's no question, talent-wise, he was a top 10, top 12 player.
Rondo trying to give it back.
Just laid the ball in, Rajon.
Stoudemire, good effort.
We saw this the other night, or I don't know if you saw the highlight, but Jared Bayless in Memphis had a breakaway layup, and he tried to throw a lob to a trailing player, and the ball went out of bounds. You just got to put the ball in the basket. Don't worry about the style points.
Bass draws the foul. Little step away move. And a timeout is taken.
Third personal, 4th team foul. Timeout.
Foul called on Stoudemire. That is his third. We're tied at 57.
Back in Boston, another long night for Carmelo Anthony against this Celtic defense. You see what they try to do. They get into his airspace. Rondo there getting underneath him. Garnett all over him, forcing Carmelo to put the ball on the floor. They put as much pressure on him as possible. They want him to have to work extra hard, not only offensively, but defensively. He's had some open looks, but Boston has really made him uncomfortable, just like the last game. And how about the combined numbers for Carmelo? The last 2 games against the Celtics, 10 for 42.
Carmelo coming in averaging 29.2 per game. That's third in the league behind Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant. Brandon Bass acquired from the Orlando Magic in exchange for Big Baby Davis and Von Wafer, working his way into the starting lineup. Carmelo Anthony just 1 for his last 11 after starting out by hitting 3 for 5 from the field. Very little acknowledgement between Carmelo and Garnett before the start of the game. At any time he could get going.
And Boston is just switching everything. Both teams have kind of played this way defensively tonight, although New York more of a zone, Boston more of a switching man-to-man. But you see a lot of interesting matchups as a result.
Game tied at 59. Here is Bradley. He's been off. Rebounded by J.R. Smith.
Bradley, I think, struggling with that bruised rib, which has bothered him the last few games. And you can imagine going up for a jump shot and feeling that discomfort in your torso. It has to be difficult.
Anthony not able to hit. He thought he was fouled. And it lets go Boston from this sellout crowd. Here is Pierce, and he is hacked.
New York foul is on number 1.
Paul Pierce has been a very difficult cover, and Stoudemire called for number 4.
Pierce will be at the line.
A look at the NBA National Television Big Board, full slate of games across the NBA networks Friday. Spurs and Mavs on ESPN starting 8 o'clock Eastern time. NBA TV with a doubleheader on Saturday, the Bulls, Wizards, Pacers, and the Jazz. And then Sunday on ABC, Miami, Boston, right here in in Beantown, and the Thunder and the Lakers.
Number 16, Steve Novak replaces Amar'e
The East is
Stoudemire.
pretty interesting this year, Marvin. It's not strong at all. I mean, Miami is clearly the favorite, but there's a group of teams below them that are very interesting, I think, in terms of what they're going to do against each other. These are two of the teams right here, Knicks and Boston, but look at Brooklyn. They've been playing very well. The Pacers have picked it up since early in the season. I think what you want to do is you want to avoid Miami at all costs, so avoid the 4, 5, and the 8 seed if you're in the East, if possible. Avoid Miami to the conference finals.
Second team foul.
Bradley picks up his third. And let's see what happens if Andrew Bynum does make his return.
Atlanta suffered a real blow, losing Lou Williams last week to the ACL.
Anthony, strong move. So, the steal by Kidd. Beautiful ball fake. Jason Kidd. Knicks lead by 3. Coming up on 4 minutes to go. Third quarter. Jason Terry, who had a poor shooting first half, getting set to check in. Not pretty, but Celtics get bailed out on a foul call. Rondo was able to feed Sullinger, who was met by the double team. Foul on Steve Novak.
Once again, New York just switching everything. Talked about it earlier in the game, Marv. If you switch defensively, you can get lulled to sleep. It's actually easy to do as a player because you don't have to fight over screens. But if you get lazy, then the switching loses its effectiveness. You've got to attack the switch. You've got to be on your toes. That's where New York was effective in the first half. It looks to me like they've sort of backed off with that aggressiveness in their switching.
Jared Sullinger in the loss to the Cavaliers Tuesday night had a solid game, 5 of 11, 12 points, 10 rebounds, and then fouled out.
Anytime you get a guy named Sully for the Celtics, he's going to be pretty popular.
2-point Knick lead. Jeff Green been defending on Anthony most of the way. Now Sullinger trying to pick him up. Basket won't count. Sullinger called on the foul.
And Carmelo's picked up his aggressiveness. You can see he's gotten to the rim here a couple times in recent possessions, playing with a little more force here.
The Celtics number 11,
Courtney Lee will come on for Rajon Rondo.
replacing Paul Pierce.
Now Rondo stays. Pierce will leave with 20 points. Shot clock to 6. Here's Anthony. That was a good job by Sullinger, but Anthony's still able to score.
He's so strong. Just incredible the way he can just bowl his way to the basket and still have the touch to score.
He's come on here in the third, 19 points in all for Anthony. Traveling violation on Green.
Knicks not even bothering to acknowledge Rondo in the half-court set when he's away from the ball. Basically 4 on 5. Meanwhile, here's Carmelo. Sullinger, nice job holding his ground. And Carmelo gets it to go.
Pablo Prigioni back on the floor, coming out for Jason Kidd. Good shooting night for Kidd. 5 of 8, 12 points. Anthony feeling it. Rebounded by Rondo.
Hey, Mark, Melo's good coming off pick and roll, but when you think about it, without Felton, he's doing that 15 times a game as Lee gets the jumper to go. Imagine the energy it takes for Carmelo. He's battling 4 men at one end. On the other, now he's running high pick and roll. Jeff Green, the Celtics, making him work for everything. That wears on you. There's a reason his shooting percentage is down with Felton on the bench.
And the last couple of games, he's played some point guards. He's been handling the ball. Here's the alley-oop. Chandler could not finish. Back comes Rondo. Terry. Lee. Back out Terry. They swing it. Here's Green for 3. What a beautiful sequence.
Yeah, really nice pass from Jason Terry, who had an open look, but made the extra pass after receiving that one from Rondo on the penetration.
Knicks call for time. 2:13 left in the third. And the Celtics have taken a 1-point lead.
Your attention up to the Celtic vision for some random thoughts from a few of the guys.
Back in Boston, Carmelo Anthony, you see there, he's been running high pick and roll for the Knicks the last couple of minutes, putting Jared Sullinger in a help position. Jeff Green trying to fight over that screen. And on this one, Sullinger may back off a little bit too much at the point of attack. So the timeout comes, and watch Doc Rivers and Kevin Eastman, Celtics assistant, they basically come out onto the floor and run a little pick and roll defensive clinic. And he's talking about the angle that he's taking as the help defender. There's Green talking about Melo as the ball handler, but that's great stuff. I mean, right during the middle of the game. It's like the kicker for the Ravens a couple weeks ago, taking the practice field goal during the timeout at the end of the game.
Prigioni with the good feed for Chandler, who's submarine. It counts, and the foul.
Boy, Doc Rivers can't believe it. He wanted the charge. Great rotation there from Lee. And a beautifully run pick and roll. But look at the weak side help from Lee. He's there, but he's not there. You know, he's outside the restricted arc, but he didn't quite have position. I thought that was a good call.
Tyson Chandler with just his first field goal. Has 6 rebounds. 68% free throw shooter. Averages 12 points, 11 rebounds, shooting about 71%, but mostly from close in.
What we haven't seen, Marv, is any of those pick and roll lobs that you normally see 2 or 3 times a game. But again, we go back to Felton and the impact that he has, and there he is. And incidentally, don't you feel like Felton is now appreciated more than he was when he was actually on the court?
How often does that happen when a guy sits out for several games?
The beauty of it, Marv, is it shows you the importance of the pieces fitting together. I mean, you can look at Felton's numbers and go, okay, he's all right, but it's how it works together.
Jeff Green this time way off on a 3-point attempt. Here comes Prigioni. Celtics get back. And Prigioni says, let's start out here as Chandler comes out. Shot clock down to 5.
Well, we've seen this a lot. ISO late in the clock for Carmelo.
Goes to the pull-up and hits. Baseline move by Carmelo Anthony, working on Jeff Green.
4 for his last 6 now after that slow start. And he's finally found the range.
Knick lead is 4, final minute, 3rd quarter. Green again, way off, got air.
You hear the murmuring from the
hear
crowd,
Although he shot well, 4 for 7, including a 3. Prigioni given a lot of room. He hit one from downtown a moment ago, but it's all Carmelo here on a lob to Chandler, and he's fouled. Foul committed by Green.
That's the one we've been waiting for with Chandler, and this is why it's so difficult to cover New York. Chandler sets screens, and then he gets to the rim. As you see the foul there from Green on the shot block attempt, but when he rolls to the rim, your help on the weak side, even if it's there, sometimes it doesn't matter because Chandler just scores right over the top of everybody.
Well, Monday, right here on TNT, the family that betrays together stays together. Dallas 2-hour season premiere. That's Monday at 9, 8 Central, only on TNT.
You know, it's interesting, Marv, you look at Tyson Chandler, the numbers are never spectacular. I mean, he's averaging 12 points a game this year, which is his career high. But his impact on the game, I think you can make the argument now, this year, that he's a more impactful player than Dwight Howard. And you know, if we had said that a year ago, 2 years ago, we would have said, you know, you're crazy. But with Howard's struggles with his back, with, you know, finding any rhythm in LA, and Chandler arguably is the best center in the game now.
Plus a team leader, extremely well.
Unbelievable in the locker room. Winner, he won a title in Dallas.
Nice to see maybe all-star team for the first time. 7-0 run here by the Knicks. They're up by 6. Final seconds on the shot clock. Terry in trouble. Barbosa has to fling one. Nope, gets it to Garnett. He does. Rebound Green. Pops it back out. Down to 2. Down to 1. Terry gets it off. We are not seeing the Jason Terry that we have been so accustomed to seeing in his days with the Dallas Mavericks, shooting 43% and 0 for 5 to this point tonight. Knicks end the quarter with 7 unanswered. They're up by 6. You're watching the NBA. Welcome back to the TD Garden in Boston. The NBA on TNT being presented by State Farm. And moments ago, Tracy Wilson with Boston head coach Doc Rivers.
The team came out with a lot of effort, but the Knicks with a 7-0 run there to close this half. What do you need to see from your team there?
Well, I like the way we're playing. We're playing hard. We're missing shots. We got to solve the Carmelo pick and roll action. Other than that, I like how we're playing.
You need a win to turn this season around. So what's important about this final quarter?
Well, let's try to win the game. I mean, there's a lot of games left. But this game is good for us. I like the way it's going. We got to make shots, and we got to stop their pick and roll action.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Celtics 4 straight losses after winning 6 in a row. Here's Courtney Lee taking advantage of the bad pass by Pablo Prigioni.
You never want to make too big of an issue about individual games during the regular season, but I do think this is a big game for Boston. Bigger for Boston than it is for New York, for sure, because they're really searching and they're trying to find their identity, and every game becomes important when you're halfway through.
J.R. Smith now 1 of 10 from the field. Celtics tomorrow night play in Atlanta, then back home Sunday afternoon for that game with Miami. Pierce stop, good play by Smith. First of 4 at home coming up with the Miami game. Here's Shumpert who just checked back in. Prigioni open for 3. Handled by Pierce. It has been close all the way. Lee, and it's tipped out by Garnett.
Courtney Lee missing on the 3 there, but boy, baskets have been few and far between in this game. But here's a great pick in transition from KG, and Lee taking advantage with that little floater.
Celtics only 37% shooting, Knicks at 38. Knicks able to swing it to Smith. Once again misses from downtown, and Prigioni hustles it down. Anthony catch and shoot for 3.
There's the Knicks right there in a nutshell. You get a great possession, you get a missed 3, but the offensive rebound and another wide open look. And this is how they play. Move the ball, get open looks, and keep firing away from 3. Carmelo starting to heat up here. 24 points.
The Knicks have their biggest lead of the night, a margin of 7. The Knicks have lost the last 13 games played here in Boston, including the postseason. Last time the Knicks won in Boston, November 2006. You may remember these names. Eddie Curry, well, he had 21 points. Steve Francis, 22 points. Stephon Marbury played a role, and the Knicks came away with a 101-77 win here at the Garden in Boston.
Boy, that seems like a different generation.
Yes. Boston ball as we resume. Jason Terry finally knocks one down. He missed his first 5.
And he's had some good looks. And that one, a set play coming out of that timeout. Doc Rivers so good drawing up plays to get guys going. We'll see if that has that effect on Terry here the rest of the way.
Pablo Prigioni getting the playing time despite that injured toe, and fires a 2-hander from 3. The 35-year-old rookie from Argentina hitting his second three. The oldest rookie to make his NBA debut since Charlie Shipp for the Waterloo Hawks in 1949-50. And we have footage. Actually not. Rondo draws the foul, thanks to the Elias Sports Bureau for that piece of information as J.R. Smith commits his second.
That looked like set shot Buford from the Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. Yes. I mean, that was awesome. Just a little one-hander push shot.
Set shot Buford.
Remember that guy?
Yes. Terry hooks a pass inside. It's behind Rondo. Handled by Anthony. Carmelo hit a three, his last shot attempt, his first three of the night. 3 minutes in, fourth quarter, and the Knicks have an 8-point advantage. Lee all over Smith. Oh, nice move by Smith as he pops it out. Here's Shumpert for three. Garnett with the rebound, knocked out of his hands. Prigioni providing problems. And it's picked off by Smith.
Now Chandler got his hand on that outlet pass, forcing that turnover. He does that so often. Offensive tip outs or getting his hand in the passing lanes, and he's got a mismatch underneath with Terry.
Beautiful move by Anthony. Could be a goaltend.
Yeah, goaltend.
Yes. Garnett knocked it away.
Well, as we see so often, anytime there's a turnover in the backcourt, you get cross matches. Terry ended up trying to deal with Chandler underneath. So you had big guys on the perimeter. Boston wants a timeout. This game's getting away from them, Mark.
Carmelo Anthony rolling here in the latter stages of the third quarter and on to the fourth. It's a 15-4 run by the Knicks, and they extend to a 10-point lead. You can play NBA Challenge presented by State Farm during tonight's game. Predict the action before it happens at NBA.com/NBA Challenge. As we look at the questions, Rajon Rondo actually closing in on a triple-double. Has 3 this season, 16 for his career. And Carmelo, 10 of 24 after the ragged start has really come on. He has 26 points.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, and in concert with that, the Knicks defense has picked it up. We heard the guys at halftime in the studio talking about the fact that Paul Pierce is really the only Celtic who can create his own shot, which puts a lot of pressure on Rajon Rondo. You know, the past few years they've had Ray Allen here, which made their half-court execution much easier, much better floor spacing. But the Knicks really squeezing off Boston right now.
Paul Pierce, only 3 shot attempts in this second half after he was on fire in the second quarter. Carmelo's hit 6 of his last 8 from the field. Anthony for 3. This time got glass, and it's a 24-second violation.
I don't know if I've ever seen a game where there was so much switching by both teams. You know, you look at the lineups out here. You've got multiple guards and wing players, and everybody can kind of match up with everyone else. And then you've got probably the 2 best perimeter defensive big players in Chandler and Garnett, in kind of the modern day NBA defensive centers. They can cover everybody. The defensive 3-second there. Yes.
Steve, as you know, a lot of switching can create havoc depending on the IQ of your basketball team.
You have to read that as an offensive player. And then the other thing that switching does is it takes away the effectiveness of screens, because as soon as you set the screen, you know, you're not picking the man anymore. You're trying to, but there's a switch, and it negates the pick itself. But you have to have versatile defenders. It's one of the reasons why we haven't seen a whole lot of Steve Novak on the court tonight. Mike Woodson sticking with his stronger defenders on the wings, guys like Shumpert and Smith, and Anthony, of course, will be out there. Rondo can't get that one to go.
Crowd getting a little anxious.
Rightfully so. I mean, their team has struggled all night, 37% shooting.
J.R. Smith continues to fire away, 1 of 12 from the field.
It's not going to stop him, though. He'll keep going.
Pierce is fouled, hit on a reach-in. Foul committed by Shumpert.
Remember the old days when we had real low post centers in the NBA? We just don't have that anymore. There's no more Shaq. There's not even any more, Vlade Divac. So you get these hybrid centers now, like Garnett and Chandler, who just chase everybody everywhere, and you don't really have to worry too much about defending the low post, but those guys are good enough to do it if the situation arises.
Well, be the first to know the latest news on your teams with Bleacher Report's Team Stream app. Check out Team Stream on your phone's app store today. Getting back to that point about the lack of low post centers, my feeling has been when the big kids start out in high school, they want to be jump shooters for the most part.
And it's true. And when you watch basketball at the high school level or at the AAU level, the big guys are all standing out shooting threes. And the other factor, I think, Marv, I think we're going to see a foul here on Garnett for grabbing Chandler. The other factor, I think, is that you've got a lot of bigs who are playing away from the hoop, but you've got coaches who are really devising strategy to pull their bigs away from the hoop. So many more guys like, maybe a Channing Frye are three-point shooters, and it's the most difficult cover in basketball because you have to deal with so much range defensively to cover a three-point shooting four-man.
J.R. Smith with his first bucket in quite some time. And goes to the short-range shot for an 82-72 Knick lead. Rondo. So we're down to 6.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. An 82-74 Knick lead. Boston trying to end the losing streak at 4. The Knicks, who have struggled recently, just 4 wins in their last 6 games. And a foul against the Celtics. Knicks come off a loss to the Nets on Monday night. Foul is called on Pierce.
And here's Rajon Rondo scoring his 15-point. Look at Jason Kidd just going all the way underneath the screen of Garnett. This is where Rondo has really improved. His shooting percentage is up to 48%. Free throw percentage up. He's improved that mid-range jump shot. You have to honor that now.
Shumpert. Punched out by Kidd and handled by Rondo. Foot race. Bradley. Rondo sets it up for Avery Bradley. And it's a triple-double for Rajon Rondo. 15 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds. Third triple-double of the season. Make it 4 on the season for Rondo. And number 17 for his career. Foul committed by the Celtics. It is on Green.
Rondo, the key to this Celtic team. I mean, he triggers everything offensively. He's a great rebounding guard, and in transition, he'll either score or find a teammate, and he can energize this club. Bradley with the easy 2. Celtics trying to come back.
I think it's very important to encourage kids to get outside and get involved with different activities. When I was growing up, you would see kids walking down the street, gathering other kids to go out and play basketball or football. But now, with the video game era, kids are kind of staying inside and playing on the computer and not really getting outside. Being healthy is definitely fun because you feel better about yourself. You feel better about your appearance. You have more energy. And when you don't eat well, you don't want to do the things that you love to do sometimes. I would just encourage children to get out and get active. And, I think it'll really help you feel better about yourself.
It is Knick ball as we resume. Coming up on 5.5 remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Knicks have a 6-point lead. They isolate Anthony. Yes. Carmelo turning it in the second half. It started late third quarter. He now has 28 points, 11 for 26.
Now 7 for his last 10. Ever since he got more aggressive as Garnett frees himself up off that Bradley screen. But you could see the change in Carmelo at the beginning of the second half. He got more aggressive and assertive going to the rim, and now Jeff Green has his hands full because Melo is rolling.
Garnett's first field goal in quite some time. Here's Anthony on the pull-up. Chandler tried to back tap. Pierce able to get to it.
Knicks have gone back to Amar'e Stoudemire, so their floor spacing offensively won't be quite as good since Amar'e not a three-point shooter.
Rondo going glass. The lead down to 4.
Well, how much more offensively will New York stick with the ISO? Can they get any flow and rhythm with everybody else?
Knicks have led by as many as 10. And a foul is called. It's on the Celtics. Pushing foul. It's called on Garnett.
That's his second
You see the push there as Chandler's trying to get in position to set that screen for Kidd. Nice call from the officials. But this is an issue for the Knicks. This combination of Carmelo, Amar'e, and Chandler has not been good at all statistically the last year and a half. They're trying to close this game out with that trio in the game.
Smith on a fadeaway, a bad shot. And then a foul, says Joe Crawford. It is on Chandler. That's his 4th.
That's his 4th personal. 3rd team foul.
And give credit to Boston's defense. I mean, they're getting after New York right now. Rondo and Avery Bradley pressuring the ball. Jeff Green doing a nice job getting into Carmelo. And of course, KG is everywhere.
Rondo, yes. Nice touch by Rondo here in the 4th quarter. 10-2 run by the Celtics. Boston with 4 team fouls, so the next one puts them over. Knicks have 3. Here's Rondo to help on Anthony. Shot clock at 5. Smith spins his way, and the tip. Amar'e Stoudemire with a big bucket. He has 15 points.
And that's where Amar'e has to make his mark, because the rotations for Boston were much easier with Amar'e on the floor. They didn't have to cover all the three-point shooters. So in order to be effective, Amar'e has to be able to win a battle inside. Great play there on the offensive putback.
Number 5 on Chandler. And that's team foul number 4. 3 minutes, 10 seconds to play in this 4th quarter.
Well, Amar'e is going to have a much smaller player on him. Barb, it's either going to be Paul Pierce or possibly Bradley or Rondo if there's a switch. If the Knicks are going to have him out on the floor, I want to see what he can do. Maybe call something to free him up. Use that advantage.
Barnett pushed off the block by Chandler, then gives it back. Shot clock to 3. Rondo with a scoop. Stoudemire rebounds and a foul. Again, called on New York. It is on Stoudemire. That's number 5.
Timeout, New York.
Knicks take a timeout. Just under 3 left in the 4th.
Let's go, guys. Come on. Come on. You're right there. You're right there. We got all the offense we want. Move the ball. Play it simple. Attack. Come on, baby. Let's go.
Doc Rivers wants this game, Marvin. The Celtics are playing like it. They're responding to his motivation defensively. They have really locked up here last couple of minutes. You see the game reset. Knicks in good shape timeout-wise. Celtics with 2 left, and neither team with a foul to give.
Rondo 1 of 2 at the line. Only a 64% free throw shooter. And he's had an outstanding game. 20 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. 4th triple-double of the season. The Knicks lead is down to 2. Boston at 1 point trailed by 10. Rondo has scored the last 6 for the Celtics. Green with a hand in the face of Anthony. Open three for Kidd. Stoudemire with the hustle, but the save ends up in the hands of Bradley. Pierce working on Kidd. Pierce passed on a three, and then the two. Bradley not able to hit. Has not been able to hit that corner jump. Not noted for his shooting, although improved last year, but he's 2 for 7 here tonight.
I think Doc Rivers would have loved for Paul Pierce to have just pulled up and shot that two. He had a wide open 17-footer.
And it's an offensive foul. Anthony, he's been bothered by the defensive work of several of the Celtics, and that time elbow made contact with Rondo.
Well, this is the problem for the Knicks. You know, when they get into this bogged down ISO heavy offense, then there's no spacing with Amar'e's presence on the floor because you got Chandler and Stoudemire, non-3-point shooters, so it's much easier for Boston to just bottle up the Knicks and keep them in a smaller space.
Rondo played by Kidd. Celtics trailing by 2. Rondo gives to Garnett. Stoudemire with the rebound.
Boy, New York defends, Norm. That's where they've made their real impact this year. Compared to in past years, they've become a team that can get stops when they have to.
That was rebound number 9 for Stoudemire. Has played well. Smith for 3. J.R. Smith, who was not able to hit the clutch 3 against the Nets the other day, but earlier this season has hit threes at the end of games.
Smith was 2 for 15 before this shot, but you'd never know it by his motivation to get that shot off. He was waiting for it. He knocked it down. The celebration. What a big shot.
Thank you, Ernie. As you see, the Knicks extend to a 5-point lead off the J.R. Smith 3. A minute 11 remaining in this fourth quarter. Both teams in the penalty. Celtics have a 20-second timeout remaining. Knicks have a full 2:20s.
Well, plenty of time, really. I mean, you want to get something relatively quick, but you don't need a 3. There's time to execute and get a good look.
And a mishap there. Pierce not expecting the pass. Terry tried to hand it to him, and it ends up out of bounds. It'll be Nick Ball.
Yeah, Smith gets a hand on it. And sometimes those handoff plays, if you're not careful with the ball, all it takes is a defender to get his hand in there, and it's exactly what we saw right there. You've got to be really careful on that play. Celtics don't need to foul. Get a stop, you're still in the game.
Just under a minute remaining. Green comes out to play Anthony. Here's Carmelo on the pole. And came up way short. So the Celtics get it back with 47 seconds remaining, down by 5.
Carmelo should have moved the ball. He was double teamed. And the Knicks with their 3-point shooters on the floor.
Rondo with a step back, clear look. So it cuts it to 3. Rondo 10 for 19, 23 points. Celtics, next foul puts them over. And the Knicks taking their time. Shot clock to 5. Down to 3. Kidd has to shoot for 3. Celtics with an opportunity called for time with 13.1 remaining.
2 bad possessions in a row for New York. They're trying to stall this game out, but really they needed to execute. Both possessions end up in forced shots late in the clock, and as a result, Boston now with a chance to tie with a 3-pointer.
How does Doc Rivers play it here?
Well, this is his last timeout, so the first thing is you got to get the ball in bounds. The last play, they completely botched with the ball handling. Got to get the ball into Rondo's hands, first of all. The last time Jason Terry was handling the ball, and you always want it in Rondo's hands in these types of situations. But you think about the three-point shooters, you've got Terry, you've got Pierce. I would expect Pierce to be the one to come off a screen. The thing with Pierce, Marvin, he doesn't have to be open to get a three-point shot off. He's so big and strong, he can create space for himself, even if a play breaks down, and score over the top of the defense.
As our statistician Brian Taylor points out, Rajon Rondo, the only Celtic to score since the 5-10 mark of this fourth quarter. He scored the last 8 points for Boston.
Now, you could go for the quick two, but without a timeout left, now you're playing the free throw game and you're not able to advance the ball to the front court if you're Boston. So I would expect something designed for a three-point shot here.
3-point Knick lead. Ball back to Rondo, 10 seconds. So Pierce checked the clock and he lost it. Another Celtic turnover. And the Knicks will take over with 7 seconds to play.
Fantastic defensive effort from New York. They didn't get lost on any screen. They stayed tight on every defender or every offensive player. And J.R. Smith with his hands on that ball, forcing another turnover. I don't know if I ever would have believed it, but J.R. Smith with the 2 biggest defensive plays of the game.
And Pierce kind of put the ball on the floor in lazy fashion toward the sideline.
But it was a result of New York really blowing up the first 3 options and never finding any pace or rhythm in that play.
Celtics without any timeouts. The Knicks have 2:20s remaining. Both teams over the limit, so the Celtics must foul with 7.1 remaining.
And if you're New York, you get Steve Novak in the game. Excellent foul shooter, although not used to going to the free throw line a whole lot, but you have to account for him. He's 14 for 15 on the line, or from the line on the season. Jason Kidd, obviously a great option, 88%. But really, it's Carmelo because of his ability to go get the ball. He's so big and strong. He's your best target on the inbounds play.
Knicks looking to hang on, to bounce back from that loss to the Nets, to go to 26-14, just a game and a half behind Miami, and to end that losing streak in Boston at 13. It would be their first win here since November of 2006, and the Celtics facing a 5-game losing streak, with Atlanta coming up tomorrow night, Sunday afternoon, back home for Miami, while the Knicks play Saturday night in Philly, and then back home Sunday for Atlanta. 7.1 to go. So Novak and Prigioni check in. Pass for Anthony is knocked away. Rondo going for the steal.
Boy, dangerous too, throwing the ball back towards the Celtics basket. Kind of reminding me of that Butler-Gonzaga game the other day, where the last thing you want to do is turn it over on this end of the floor.
Here's the pass in. He got it to Anthony. Smith looks to dribble it out. They can't foul. They couldn't catch up to a Knick, and that's how it ends. The Knicks defeat the Celtics 89-86 to stop the losing streak at 13. Boston, 5 straight losses since winning 6 in a row. They are now 2 games under 500 at 20-22. And for those who missed the start of the game, just minimal, would you say minimal acknowledgement, irrelevant acknowledgement just before the tip between Kevin Garnett.
I like irrelevant. Irrelevant is accurate.
Irrelevant, okay. 89-86, the Celtics losing to the Knicks here in Boston. Coming up next, it's the Clippers and the Suns, thanks to our producer Tom Heitz, director Renato Lowe, and our statistician Brian Taylor. For Steve Kerr, Tracy Wolfson, and the rest of the crew, Marv Albert saying good night from Boston after the break. We send it to Kevin Harlan, Reggie Miller, and Charles Barkley in Phoenix.